For more on the political fallout of new sexual harassment allegations and the battle over the Republican tax plan, I'm joined by our Politics Monday team, Tamara Keith of NPR and Amy Walter of the Cook Political Report. Welcome to you both. So let's start with the story that we are coming back to tonight because of new allegations. As you heard at the top of the show, new allegations just out late today about journalist Charlie Rose, PBS, CBS, Bloomberg, and Glenn Thrush of the New York Times, sexual allegations. Amy, but I do want to ask both of you, we're here to talk about politics.
Right.
We have this new, another new allegation now against Bob Franken. I'm sorry, Al Franken.
Al Franken.
Yes. Who has had one woman state that he sexually harassed and worse with her. But now you have a new one. Does this change? Because this one involves him, Al Franken, as a senator. Does this change in a way how the seriousness of all this?
Well, I think that already, even at the very beginning, Democrats were, including Senator Franken, said we need to have an ethics investigation in order to get exactly at things like this. Was this just a one-time event that happened during the USO era with this one woman, or did this happen more frequently, especially while he was a senator? Now we have at least one case, one woman coming forward. An investigation would unleash more. The real question, though, is how much time do we have before we start to see groups or individuals come out calling for Al Franken's resignation? Already, just watching Twitter today, you could see some liberal voices, some groups saying it's time for Al Franken to step down. Let's see what happens, especially in Minnesota over the next few weeks. Is there a building cry for his resignation?
There have been calls, of course, almost immediately when these allegations came out, Tamara, from the right and the left. And Al Franken himself said there should be an ethics investigation. But how much of a platform, of a leg does he have to stand on right now?
And an ethics investigation, how serious is that? How long does it last? And in the meantime, what else comes out? I think that there are a lot of people in Washington and beyond holding their breath, not knowing where this goes, whether there are more names that will come out of Congress or elsewhere. And there's a very palpable sense that this is not the end. And we don't know if we're at the beginning or in the middle of these revelations and this cultural moment and sort of where that ends up. And Al Franken right now is standing alone. Will he continue to stand alone?
I think that's a very big piece of this. Every day we have a new name coming out in different businesses. Obviously today a big focus on journalists, but we will have it back on to politics soon enough.
And Jackie Speer, the congresswoman from California, who's been out front in speaking about her own experience, just said a few days ago that there are two sitting members of Congress right now who have allegations against them, but she hasn't yet said who they are. There's a non-disclosure agreement that is signed under congressional rules.
Right, but will someone go on the record? This is quite a moment that we're in.
The other name, of course, the other person we're watching is Roy Moore, the Senate candidate, Republican Senate candidate, Alabama. Amy, the president has gone after Al Franken, but he has not said anything about Roy Moore. The White House has said, let the voters of Alabama decide. Can the White House stand on that position?
Right. I mean, to say that the president's doing something that's contradictory is not new, right? That he's saying one thing about one person and then has another rule for another person is totally within keeping with the way the president has behaved, including the fact that, of course, one is a Republican and one is a Democrat. Right. So in that sense, I think, we have long understood that the way that the president sees the world in terms of like putting people who are on his side and people who are on the other side, this sort of fits into that.
And meantime, Amy, you have the allegations resurfacing, or I should say conversation resurfacing about President Bill Clinton and whether he should have done something. He should have stepped down. Senator Kirsten Gillibrand of New York made that comment last week. There were a lot of pushback from the Clinton camp.
certainly there was. But this is, when Bill Clinton was running for president, there was a different default setting. The default setting was to criticize the women, in part led by people who were affiliated with Bill Clinton. The default setting now is to believe the women. It's like a hashtag. The default setting has completely changed. But in the meantime, since Bill Clinton, you had Arnold Schwarzenegger get elected shortly after there were groping allegations in California. And you had the President of the United States, Donald J. Trump, get elected after some very serious allegations that remain outstanding. It's not like anyone has recanted those allegations.
I think it's also an interesting discussion when we talk about the Clintons. If you go back to 2016 and look at how much of the Clinton legacy was already being, how many Democrats were already distancing themselves from the Clinton legacy ideologically and on issues, on trade, on the Defense of Marriage Act, on the crime bill, on welfare reform. So it is yet one more reminder of how a Democratic Party that is moving away from the legacy left by Bill Clinton specifically. And I think this is one case where we're going to see both the party, but also society moving on from what was acceptable back then.
Well, what we know is that all of this is moving very fast.
Yes.
New allegations coming out. It feels to me almost hourly.
It's like our phones just keep buzzing.
That's right. It's been going on certainly all day long.
Yeah, and we still don't know how to deal with this. As I said, the floodgates have opened. There's a whole bunch of water that is flowing through, and we don't know what to do with all the water now. And that's what's going to take a long time.
Amy Walter, Tamara Keith, Politics Monday. Thank you both.
You're welcome.
Very welcome.